Hello and welcome to National Focus. I am Shakira Pear. In the headlines, Caribbean Airlines made its inaugural call to Dominica. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit visits the dailies through Pitt-Savan Road, and government has launched the social cash transfer program. Details of the headline stories and more when we return.
The hurricane season is less than a month away. Find out today what types of hazards that could happen where you live. Hurricanes can cause many hazards, including flooding due to heavy rainfall, large waves along the coast, strong winds, landslides, and falling rocks. Determine your risk and be prepared for any eventuality. A message from the Government Information Service.
Welcome back. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit led a delegation to the dailies through Pitt-Savan Road on Thursday, September 17. The dailies through Pitt-Savan Road was closed after the passage of Tropical Storm Erica, when the community of Pitt-Savan was totally devastated and deemed unsafe by government. Government is now undertaking the project to rehabilitate and clear this road to facilitate access between the communities, encouraging trade and farming in that part of the island. Prime Minister Skerrit says while government is aware that Pitt-Savan is not a place for continued habitation, government sees the opportunities for continued agricultural practices, especially in the bay oil industry.
We've always maintained that at some point in the future, we would give consideration to the reopening of the roadway, and that's what we're doing. You can in fact now drive from Dailies to all the way to Pitt-Savan, close to the Darrows residence, and we will continue to improve on the access so that persons who like to do the agriculture and engage in that practice can continue to do so.
Prime Minister Skerrit says he is very pleased with efforts of the Ministry of Public Works and the digital economy. He also commended the parliamentary representative for the La Plaine constituency for his role in creating access in that area.
It looks like the people of Dailies are happy about this and they're welcoming it because it also facilitates them to sell their agricultural produce in Bacatel and Fort Saint-Jean, and of course on the Grand Bay side, and also to facilitate the fishermen from Fort Saint-Jean and Stowe as an easier access to sell their fish in Dailies and La Plaine, because Dailies and La Plaine and Botica are not known to be fishing communities. So there's a bartering or exchange of produce, and we sell from Dailies. We sell our agricultural produce from Fort Saint-Jean and Stowe. We sell across the mountain our fish, and I think that can certainly enhance the opportunities for them. So it is on these bases we have decided to, at this stage, to give serious consideration to the reopening of the road and to create access between these two communities.
Member of Parliament for the La Plaine constituency, Honorable Kent Edwards, says he is pleased that government has allocated finances for the reopening of this road, as this will stimulate much-needed economic activity in his constituency.
As PAL rep for the La Plaine constituency, which includes Dailies, I am very happy because being from that part, there was a dead end. So what that road will do, first and foremost, it will eliminate the dead end that existed there during that time, and it will also improve on the agricultural exchanges between the people from the south, namely the fishers from Fort Saint-Jean and Bacatel, and it will also cut down the amount of time taken between Roseau and the southeast for those who choose to use this access.
Minister for Public Works and the Digital Economy, Honorable Kasani Laville, says that the reopening of this road is a major investment by government, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic. Minister Laville cautioned the public that the Pitt-Savan community is not safe for living and persons should refrain from living in that area.
I want to make it clear that a few years ago, there were studies undertaken in this area after the failures. And it was deemed that after the geotechnical studies that this area was unsafe for inhabitants. We have decided right now at this point that we would clear the road, but we want to be clear that the message is not for people to return and return to their permanent residences in this area. Simply at this point, it is just for access. It's only for access. This area has been deemed an emergency, an unsafe area, and hence the people were resettled in the Bellevue area.
An official ceremony for the inaugural flight of Caribbean Airlines to Dominica was held over the weekend. Caribbean Airlines represent government's drive to improve air access into the country. The airlines will provide flights to Dominica on Saturdays and Sundays. Minister for Tourism, International Transport and Maritime Initiatives, Honorable Dennis Charles, says that Caribbean Airlines will assist in improving access to Dominica.
I also want to commend our Prime Minister for his unwavering commitment to expanding air service into Dominica.
Minister Charles is grateful for the opportunities provided with this new connection.
So it has really brought ease to traveling for our people, and it also makes it easier for visitors to come to our island. And so I'm really pleased about that and elated.
Captain for Caribbean Airlines, Mr. Francis Harris, a Dominican, is proud to provide service to Dominica.
This day has been long in coming, and we are truly delighted that it is finally here. Caribbean Airlines has the largest network in the region, and we continue to improve connectivity. Our Eastern Caribbean expansion now links Barbados and Dominica, as well as St. Lucia, St. Vincent, Grenada, Antigua, Kingston, Jamaica, with wider connections through our jet operation. In the coming weeks and months, you will hear and see more islands connected as we close the distance between and among this magical archipelago known as the Caribbean.
Mr. Harris says flights will increase after progress is made from weekend flights.
Dominica has always been central to the CARICOM Caribbean islands, so it is, you can't not come here, you know. And I think also as a Dominican, I mean, we need that sort of airlift out of here. It's crucial.
Chief Executive Officer of the Climate Resilience Executing Agency, CREED, Ms. Francine Barron, believes that Dominica is in a much better position to withstand a major hurricane. CREED leads and coordinates strategic initiatives across sectors in the Commonwealth of Dominica with the goal of making the country the world's first climate resilient nation. CREED acts to bolster the ability of the business community, public services, and social sector partners to build strong and resilient communities, develop adaptive infrastructure, accelerate economic growth, strengthen institutional systems, enhance Dominica's capacity to respond to the local impacts of global climate change, and set an example for the rest of the world on how to respond to the challenges of a changing climate. Ms. Barron says a climate resilient recovery plan was developed to ensure that Dominica is on the right path to becoming the first climate resilient nation in the world.
The Climate Resilience Recovery Plan is actually based on 3 pillars, which is climate resilient systems, prudent disaster risk management, and effective disaster risk response. So with climate resilient systems, you're talking about our systems being able to adjust and absorb the impact of a disaster. Prudent disaster risk management speaks to minimizing and managing the risk. And the effective disaster risk response and recovery talks about post-disaster. How do we minimize the impact and accelerate recovery after disaster?
Based on those 3 pillars, 6 result areas have been identified to achieve this plan.
Those result areas are strong communities. So how do we build strong communities that have the capacity to absorb shocks and bounce back quickly? So you're looking at the key elements being your ability to access shelter, to access medical care, and basic necessities, food, water, power, telecommunications, and how do we react to disasters, our disaster preparedness and response. Those are the key things that we will look at under that particular result area. Then, of course, there's the robust economy, which has many different dimensions. But the idea with the robust economy is to ensure that we limit production losses after a disaster, and we're able to recover and reconstruct in a very quick manner.
The third result area is a well-planned and durable infrastructure. Hurricane Maria wiped out 90% of Dominica's housing stock, and government, through CREED, is developing various ways to ensure that proper infrastructures are built in the event of a major natural disaster.
We would have seen significant impact to our infrastructure as a result of Hurricane Maria, and therefore the requirement and need to build back better, to build stronger structures that are more resilient to economic impact from either the weather or an earthquake. So the structures that are being built to be resilient, so that if we are, God forbid, affected again by a Category 5 hurricane, we will not have the level of damage that we suffered from Hurricane Maria. So we're talking about our schools that are being reconstructed or being repaired better. So in many instances, you're having, when repairs are being done, or decision taken as to whether a school should be repaired or rebuilt, then if it makes better sense to rebuild the school instead of just repairing what is there, which is a weak structure, you rebuild the school instead.
CREED continues to implement a series of flagship initiatives that will propel the journey towards resilience. The government of Dominica has launched the Social Cash Transfer Assistance Program in conjunction with the World Food Program. The program will provide temporary income support to eligible vulnerable individuals and families whose income have been impacted by COVID-19. Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment, Youth at Risk, Gender Affairs, Senior Security, and Dominicans with Disabilities, Honorable Dr. Addis King, listed some of the main objectives of the cash transfer program.
One of the vital components of this social cash transfer is that we are going to support low-income communities and vulnerable individuals. And it is also designed to implement building on Dominica's main national assistance program. As you know, we have several of these. But some of the objectives would be, of course, to improve the well-being of our vulnerable households, especially those who were impacted by the COVID-19. It will also help us in alleviating some of the poverty, helping people get better access to health, as well as education. And we'll also be able to mitigate the negative socio-economic impact that COVID-19 has had on the vulnerable families and individuals among us. Most of this impact was due to shutdowns, curfew, loss of jobs, loss of income, maybe even reduction of income. So this money will surely go a long way in improving their lives.
Dr. King says the program was introduced to assist persons who were directly affected by COVID-19.
The government of Dominica, through the Ministry of Planning and my ministry, the ministry mainly responsible for vulnerable people, the youth, the elderly, the people with disability, we decided to put together a concept note to justify a project where we would help our people and we could implement this mechanism. And we were greatly supported by the World Food Program, and also we had the program being funded also by UK Aid.
Okay.
And so we brought this together and we decided to administer it in a way where the people we knew for a fact were impacted by COVID-19 could benefit, as well as we would do a little research to go around the island in different communities and find out other people that were impacted, so they as well can be part of this.
The program aims at helping these families meet basic needs while the fight against COVID-19 continues.
The needs we expect it to address is food security, also access to health, access to medicine. Sometimes we have our poor people out there, there are medicines that they need, and but maybe they had a daughter that was working that was able to buy the medicine, but now this daughter has been impacted because of COVID-19. So right now we can give them this money, it can go through this, can also help them get educational material for their children.
Okay. So a number of benefits.
A number of benefits.
Dr. King identified some of the people who stand to benefit from the program.
Research has shown that usually during any crisis, the people that are already vulnerable become more negatively impacted. So that is why the people that are already on the public assistance programs, and these are people that are really our elderly who usually don't have any children to take care of them. We have our single mothers. Sometimes they get no maintenance for their children. They have several children. We have our female-headed households, where they don't have a man there to help them in any way, and the kind of jobs they can get are not well-paid jobs. We also have the people with disabilities, people who have gotten stroke, or people who are born with disability, or they become disabled through an accident. We have our people that are neglected, the elderly people that are just there in their home. Maybe some neighbor will watch out for them to give them a plate of food. So these are the people.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return. Welcome back. Minister for Trade, Commerce, Entrepreneurship, Innovation, Business and Export Development, Honorable Ian Douglas, says Dominica is on a path to resilience. Minister Douglas stated that food security remains one of the key aspects of resiliency. The Ministry of Trade, Commerce, Entrepreneurship, Innovation, Business and Export Development is working with the Ministry of Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security to ensure that the country is at production levels necessary for sustenance.
Our crops right now, what we plant, when we plant them, how we plant them. So instead of concentrating only on bananas as we did in the 1970s and creating a monoculture, so that when a little wind blows or some rain falls, then you have total devastation. We want to concentrate on other crops, diversify the agricultural sector, do some sweet potatoes, do some dashing, do some yams, which grows on the ground. So even the strong winds damage the vines and the stems of those plants. You can probably still go after the natural disaster and harvest those crops and probably store them because they have a longer shelf life. So you have sweet potatoes and Irish potatoes that you can harvest even after the disaster and cure and be able to feed the population.
Minister Douglas says the blueprint for building resilience does not only rest on infrastructural development, but also in building human resource capacity and making resilience a household name.
The best thing about learning is the ability to implement what you have learned. So we've implemented what we have learned, not temporarily, but we have made it permanent, a permanent fixture in our lives, in the way we go about our lives, in the way that we conduct and we transact personal and commercial business. And that is the template for the development of Dominica going forward. Not just infrastructural development like roads and bridges and houses, but human resource development. We have trained our people and we have ingrained into the Dominican psyche what resilience truly means to each and everybody. The primary school student going to sit grade 6 national assessment, and the fifth form student going to sit CXC, or the child at the Dominica State College, or you and I working in the government service, and all of those in the private sector, the farmers and the fishermen, the vendors and the artisans and the construction workers, the plumbers, the electricians. Everybody now knows what it means to be resilient and have inculcated resilience practices into their everyday lives.
Dominica's housing revolution sees another tangible phase this week with the handing over of homes to families in Grand Bay and Jimmet. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Housing, Mr. Reginald Sevre, says a ceremony for the allocation of 30 residential units in Geneva, Grand Bay is scheduled for Wednesday of this week.
We see a situation where the individuals that now are benefiting from this housing comes from our vulnerable group. For example, in Grand Bay, we are assisting 138 individuals, 30 homes in all, 30 families, and out of that 30 families, we have counted that there are 82 children, that is individuals that are under 16 years of age, will be benefiting. So definitely we are addressing one vulnerable group in the Grand Bay area.
Meanwhile, a ceremony for the allocation of an additional 30 residential units will be held in Jimmet on Friday.
In Jimmet, we anticipate that around 43 children will be benefiting from these homes out of the 107 beneficiaries in total that will be receiving the 30 homes in Jimmet. We will be out in Jimmet on Friday afternoon at 3, and they will celebrate with Honorable Blackmore, who has taken a very keen interest in the provision of housing response in the constituency of Maho, and they will celebrate.
6 students of the Dominica State College have successfully completed a 6-week internship with the Ministry of Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security. The 6 students, Kira Matthew, Ryan Seaman, Desiree Clark, Janaya Coppell, Fiona Talbert, and Lana Jacques, received their certificates at a closing ceremony held on Friday, September 18, 2020. The students received their certificates from Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security, Dr. Reginald Thomas. The students were assigned to different units under the ministry, including agribusiness with Dexia and ICA, the Extension Unit, and the Veterinarian Unit, among others. Dean at the Dominica State College, Mr. Raul Leslie, says the successful interns should consider themselves fortunate for this opportunity.
The Division of Agriculture made the request for you all, and we took the opportunity to at least have you all here. You were recommended by your teachers because there's about 20 plus of you in the class. So the recommendation is based from your lecturers. So the reason why I consider as the Fortunate Six is we are the only set of students from our Faculty of Applied Arts and Technology on internship. And you should consider yourself fortunate. And it's not the first time the Department of Agriculture is doing that. With DSC, it's a very long-standing relationship when it comes to internship.
Mr. Leslie says he's confident that the students have been better exposed to the different aspects of agriculture.
I'm confident, although I haven't spoken to any of you, but I'm confident with the diversity of agricultural fields that exists within the Division of Agriculture. I am sure that you're better exposed to various aspects of agriculture, and by now, at least you could have your career path in agriculture, so you have an advantage.
Meanwhile, Veterinary Officer Dr. Lennox St. Amy says he hopes that this internship gave the students a better understanding of agriculture.
It is my hope that these 6 weeks gave you interns would have gained a greater appreciation for agriculture and understood the importance of agriculture for our livelihoods. Also that you would have used this opportunity to learn all you could about practical agriculture. Hope it helped you to develop your own professional working skills and provided an opportunity for hands-on experience.
Technical Officer in the Extension Division, Mr. Felix Leslie, congratulated the interns on the completion of their internship.
This to us is a special program, and having viewed the presentations that you have made this afternoon, I do not only see students, but I see young and upcoming agricultural scientists to be fitted in the appropriate positions within the agricultural sector. Let me congratulate you on your presentation and for the work that you have done during the 6 weeks internship.
Mr. Leslie says the internship will help the ministry to recognize the interns as future employees.
The certificate that you have received this afternoon, it is a good certificate. In other words, the Ministry of Agriculture, in the way forward and the development plan for the ministry, it has already begun to recognize you by certifying you this afternoon. So permit me to say that you are now graduates where the internship program is concerned.
And now your weather update. A weak high-pressure system is expected to result in occasional cloudiness with a few showers and a slight chance of isolated thunderstorms across the Windward Islands during the next 24 hours, while low-level instability is expected to continue producing scattered showers across the leewards. Tropical Depression Wilfred weakened into a trough last night, and this is expected to move across the area on Wednesday. Swells generated by Hurricane Teddy are expected to continue to affect the area during the next 24 hours, with heights up to 7 feet along eastern coastlines. Small craft operators and sea bathers should exercise caution. An increase in swells generated by Teddy will begin to affect the west coast by late Tuesday. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, as well as on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I am Shakira Pear. Thanks for watching.